Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I'm Nikki, and if you are a wedding vendor headed to work this weekend, may the odds be ever in your favor. And if you have a double or triple header this weekend, this drink is dedicated to you.
Here. Now, we're going to roll into the stories because we have an update on that no-show photographer story. That was our very first episode, I think our very first story. So we got an update. Whomever wrote it in must have heard it. Thank you for listening. We appreciate the support. But we also have an Am I the Asshole from a Florist? And I know how I feel, but I'm interested on how you feel. That's kind of the fun of seeing these stories before you see them, is I've already formulated exactly how
You already
I feel.
have your thoughts.
Oh, yeah. I was like taking a shower thinking about this. Like I was, do you ever do that though? Do you ever, you're taking a shower and maybe you're having a conflict with someone in your life and you just
100% you play out the scenario, you play out conversations back and forth. I literally do that.
Yeah.
To a T.
Or it'll be after the confrontation. I'll be like, oh, I should have said this.
Or I should have said this.
Yeah.
Or should have not said this.
I never think that. No, I'm totally kidding. I think that most days of my
You're
life.
like, actually, that's all I think.
No, there's moments where Adam and I are just kind of bickering about something, and I'll say something that I know I shouldn't have said in the moment, and I just kind of look at him and go, and he goes, yeah, you know, you shouldn't have said that, huh?
I do that too.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
well. Okay, I am gonna start off with our update because on my way here, I legitimately had such an aha moment. So I'm driving like I have not a care in the world. It is 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, mind you guys, it's literally before it's 6:20
Yeah, she early.
a.m.
But here's what I'll say. Nikki and I are very committed to the pod.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to have a busy week because we're leaving for a week
on Friday.
And so we were like, you know what? Let's just get up. And Nikki's a morning girl. I am not.
I love a morning.
But for the pod, I'll do anything. But anyway, so I'm driving here. It's dark. I'm like taking this big turn and I see this city and I have Meatloaf blaring and I'm putting a pin on Meatloaf for a second. But I look at the road for a second and it looks a little shiny. And when I tell you, I'm going 80 miles an hour.
Easily.
And I'm just thinking to myself, you are one lucky bitch that there's no black ice that you've hit or anything like that, as you're just screaming Meatloaf going 80 miles an hour down the road like you have not a care in the world.
You know what's so interesting is that on my way here, I actually was thinking about, and this is really bad, I hope nobody judges me, I used to disassociate when I would drive. So like all of a sudden I would just like be home and I'd be like, I have no idea how I got here. But because I was so detached, this is like really bad.
On next week's episode, we have a fucking psychiatrist come on board. Oh my gosh. Do you listen? I actually was, because I was going to call you this morning because
I wasn't listening to anything. It's my own thoughts.
that is diabolical to me. Like that is future serial killer shit right there.
No, not serial killer. Just, I was in a cult. It's fine.
Yeah. Was, just so everybody knows, we're not trying to indoctrinate you into an indoctrinate.
We're not trying to indoctrinate you.
Indoctrinate you into a cult. I don't know where that accent started or ended. But it was not the same. I feel like it started a little German. Speaking of German, I
could go so many ways right now.
So many ways. But I am habitually behind on things decades. And I just started watching / listening to Cabaret with Alan Cumming. Do you know it? Okay, I'm gonna have to show you a couple of videos. It's an old school musical, but it's...
I mean, I know the musical.
Yeah, like there's a movie, I think, with Liza Minnelli from back in, way back when. But then there was a musical, like, on Broadway back in the 90s. They still do it.
Yep.
And I cannot stop listening to the fucking soundtrack. It's driving Adam insane. I was gonna say, are you gonna listen to it?
People spend a couple of hours steeped in...
That's Rosie O'Donnell.
I know what Tony Award, performance you're, but it's so stinking good. It's, if anybody's on TikTok, I've heard this so many times, and I don't know if this is gonna translate, if you're gonna be able to hear it in the mic, but hold on, here's a song.
to be rich and you feel like a night's entertainment, you can pay for a gay escapade. If you happen to be rich and
Can you hear that?
Yep, loud and clear. Sure can.
It's so fucking good. But in some of the songs, like he's going back and forth between German, French, and English because
What a talent.
what a talent. But it's
I
because
can't put this down. Did you see me?
you're like, hey, what a talent. But it's because I believe, and I'm so sorry if we got some Broadway people in here who are about to rip my ass apart, but I believe the story in general is about a club, a dance club, back in like Nazi Germany essentially. And they're like, yo, just leave your troubles behind and come in here. And then you also see how many troubles there are with everybody. But the music is a bop.
That it is.
Yeah,
That was
it is giving Chicago vibes. But anyways, so yeah, I was on my way here and just blasting music, love it.
grateful you didn't die.
Grateful I didn't die, and I also wanted to just talk about Meatloaf for a hot sec. Do you know who Meatloaf is?
Yes, I know who Meatloaf is.
So I just love him so much.
R.I.P.
I was gonna say, rest in peace. I love him so much. If you've never listened to Meatloaf, just like take a couple hours and just like go through his discography because he tells. I'm listening to Paradise by the Dashboard Light on my way here, and sometimes I forget it's a song about a dude trying to convince a girl to bang. But I'm listening to it, I'm like,
And you're into it.
yeah. But then also I'd be like, but if this were real life, I'm calling the police.
That's like
Get away from
what's
me.
the Christmas song? What's the Christmas song that
Santa
caused,
Baby?
No, it caused controversy. I really can't stay, but baby, it's cold outside.
Cold outside, yeah. And it's like, no, sir, I'm asking to leave. I'm not consenting.
Please let me leave your house. And people were like, cancel that song. And I'm like, yes, because it is very, dicey. But also, it's a Christmas classic.
Yeah, it's a Christmas class. And also, sometimes you really do have to remember it was a different time, and not everybody had such
times.
malice intent with everything. And that's a hard line to tread sometimes of like, well, what do we cancel and what do we not cancel? And we always talk about cancel culture.
Certainly
but
don't cancel us.
for any horrible thing we end up saying on the pod. Okay, a few things also I wanted to share. I don't really have an update because I was thinking about this and I go, God, we record an episode every week. This is just showing me how much life I don't have and how much things don't change. The most that changes is the couples I get to see, which is great. That excites me, but life-wise, nothing. So I've started collecting a list of things that annoy me instead because I would like to air them out and then let them go.
Okay.
Okay. So eventually I'd like to turn this into a complaints corner segment. That might just sound negative. So TBD. Number 1, TVs with ultra high def. Do you know what I mean? Where like it's so crisp.
Yes, and I don't hate it.
I hate it. And I don't know if it's the frame rate. I don't know if I don't understand what's going on, but I have to change every TV we buy to like old school 90s
Really?
quality.
What about like a movie theater?
But that, to me, the movies do not look like that. Even new movies, they don't look like that. They are in cinema. Like their picture quality is quote unquote cinema, which again is, I don't know how many frames per second it is, but some of these TVs, it almost looks like you're just looking in a window. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't understand why anyone did that to television. I don't trust you if you don't have at least a little fupa.
That I'm on board with.
So I saw a picture of someone on the interwebs and there was no bump. And I was like, where's your uterus?
Like, what is protecting your baby makers?
Yes. I was really concerned. And I was like, I can't trust you if there's nothing there. I'm not saying you
will
gotta have all of this.
We're not body shaming in any way, shape, or form. 100% not body shaming the fit people.
There's a difference between fit and this
Ripped.
one individual photo that I saw where I was like, where is everything?
Someone's ripped.
I don't like it.
But what that indicates to me is that you're not snacking. And I don't know if I can trust somebody who is not snacking, who's not indulging in a little sweet treat.
Fair.
Like, yes, you have more discipline than I do, but what does that say about you as a human?
Like if breakfast, lunch, and dinner was sea moss and algae,
there's not a chance.
are you trying to turn into a fucking mermaid? Like, go into the water and leave.
Yeah, I love a sweet treat.
Anyways, okay, second to last one. Dunkin' Donuts is absolute trash, and I have no idea how people are convinced that it's good. I also don't know if they are actually convinced
I
it's
like a Dunkin' Donut. Have you ever had their hash browns? Their hash brown circles? Delicious. Have you ever had a croissant sandwich from there? Delicious.
I don't like a hash brown circle. I like a tot. Isn't that
Who
weird?
are you to say who it can and cannot be trusted?
I know, but I like a tot.
It is a literal tater tot. It's the same thing. It's just flattened out.
It's too crispy, or when like Taco John seasons them.
No, they're
ugh.
not. They're like just. They're not thins. They're just a different shape.
No, I know, but they still feel too crusty. They still
They're
feel
not
like they have
crispy.
more.
The Dunkin'
surface
Donut
level.
ones are not crispy. I'm gonna
Well,
have
then
to
they're
have a
doing
taste
something
test.
wrong because if the tater tots aren't crispy.
We've got problems here.
But here's what I'll say about it. I've been to the East Coast a few times for weddings lately, and there's a Dunkin' Donuts. There's 17 on every corner. And I go and I really try because it would just be easier and it's so much cheaper.
It's way cheaper. Their coffees, you can get a large coffee for the same price as a small Starbucks.
Yeah. And I've looked at a cashier at Dunkin' and I'd be like, are you sure? Like, did you get everything on my
their
order?
stuff is huge. Like their large coffees are literally the like gallon, but like the huge like big gulps that you get at a gas station.
We have an obesity problem.
Yeah, in America, yeah,
in America. But I legitimately, I can't.
I'm not gonna say it's my favorite, but listen, if I need a little treat,
but also
I don't like their donuts though. I don't think their donuts slap. I think they're fine. They're mediocre. Will I go to Funner Brothers over in New Hope instead? 100%. I'm a big donut connoisseur.
I am not. I
love
don't
a
even know
donut.
where that place is that you had mentioned.
It's right by my house. If anybody wants a donut spot, Funner Brothers.
So Nikki's address is
Yeah.
no, but I can't be convinced, but also Starbucks has us all convinced that it takes $15
Yeah,
to
I don't
buy
like
a
that
Danish
either.
and a coffee. So I also don't like that.
Not on board.
I cannot be pleased, apparently. If it's cheap, it's bad. If it's expensive, it's not even that good. But
Literally.
and then the last thing I just have to complain about is rental car like ports not attached to the airport.
If I gotta take a bus, I don't want to take a trolley to the airport, or better yet, 2 buses.
Yeah.
From the airport to the rental car, and from the freaking rental car to the airport when I gotta catch a flight home.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's not the worst when you're like when you get to the airport and you're like, okay, like when you
you're
get to your
excited.
destination, but having to do it after that,
I hate that.
I hate it. And I like an early morning flight, which means I'm dropping my rental car off at 4 a.m., which means I'm up at 3 a.m. And the whole thing, I flew into Hartford, Connecticut a couple weeks back, and it was just a like, hey, walk across the crosswalk and there's the airport, or there's the rental
love
car.
that.
I was like, great. And she was
I
like,
love
she was like,
that.
there's a longer way if you want to walk inside. It's a little chilly. I said, it could be Antarctica. And if I just have to walk across a crosswalk to get my rental car,
I'm good.
I'll run across naked. But
I will get hit by 3 cars on the way, but
yeah,
I'm making it
But
there.
I'm making it quicker than I would if I took a fucking trolley.
Yeah.
Or more, whatever.
And mind you, these are the most first world problems we've probably ever had.
Oh,
but
yeah.
at the end of the day, they're grievances that need to be aired.
I agree. And also, if you want me to bring non-first world problems to the pod,
You will be depressed.
You'll be
You do not
depressed.
want to tune
Yeah.
in. Yeah. We're not doing that.
Meg
This
and Nikki
is-
got stuff to talk about if you really
Trust me, we know non-first world problems. We talk about them offline. And guess what? They cause tears to run down the faces of these 2 girls sitting in front of you right here.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why we bonded so quickly. We met and we were like,
oh, we
here's
both have
our
issues.
here's our biggest trauma. Let's talk about it. Anyways, okay, what about you? What are you up to?
I'm scared for my competition.
I'm so excited.
I feel like I'm gonna cry on this pod right now. I'm so scared. I told Craig yesterday, I literally cried. I was like, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
Because I've never done anything like it before. So for those of you who don't know, Google Hyrox, Hyrox. Hyrox. Also, did you see, just a quick insert, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, but the mayor, the governor, something Philadelphia related, was like doing an Eagles chant on a live news feed, and she could not spell Eagles for the life of her. Granted, people fumble their letters and their words. I'm sure she knows how to spell Eagles, but it's like one of those things where you're like, fuck, that was not the moment to not know how to spell Eagles. Because Philadelphia fans are absolutely insane. If you're an Eagles fan, please go
don't.
Birds.
Yeah.
Go Birds. Don't come for us. Go Birds.
Someone flies from Philadelphia to come kill us.
No, they're actually a bird. It's a literal eagle flies through the window and tries to kill us. But just whatever. Hyrox, Hyrox. I'm doing a competition. It's different than anything I've ever done, and it has me scared. And I was telling Meg, I don't start my race until 1 p.m. on the 1st, which is a week. It's on Saturday the 1st. That is such a long. I'd rather go at 4 a.m. than have to wake up and be probably having the runs. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna sit here
just
and
like
lie.
a nervous poop.
I'm going to be nervously shitting all morning out of pure fear, literal fear. But it'll be great.
And I know someone has probably said this to you already, but it's like, just pretend it's just another workout.
Yeah.
It's just another workout.
My only fear that really comes in is that I'm doing it with a partner, and he is really intense, and he wants us to finish in like a specific time. My goal is to finish.
Yeah.
My goal is like to not die, throw up, or actively poop my pants while I'm doing it, because I do have IBS and I'm lactose intolerant, and I know I'm going to drink a coffee that morning with cream in it. Like, there are things that are going to happen.
I also want to call out, just like, the most important thing is that you will have successfully, if you die, you will have ruined my trip.
And this podcast for you.
Dude, please don't die. I've thought about that. I was like, what if Nikki and I get in a huge fucking fight, which I really don't think will happen. Like, you and I
We've had conflict. I'm really good at conflict resolution. So there's no... We're good.
are.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, I could never do what we do with someone else. Like, the thought of having some other yahoo sitting across from me, I'd be like,
no, I think we're good. We're actually going to cancel the pod.
yeah. It would just be me sitting here looking at you guys solo.
Just like scared.
Yeah.
Staring into camera.
Holding my camera, staring into camera, playing Meatloaf on
Like
repeat.
Meatloaf. But that's pretty much it for me. I'm scared, but I'm excited to have an update once I'm back.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know how it goes. But yeah, and then we're trying to figure out what we're doing. So if anybody has suggestions, when this episode comes out, within the first like 3 days, if you're watching this and you have suggestions of where to go around the California, we'll be in San Diego. So we were originally going to drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, do, like Santa Barbara or Carmel by the Sea, stuff like that. However, with everything that happened in LA and the fires, we just don't know if that's an appropriate thing to like drive up the Pacific Coast Highway and be touristy when there's a ton of devastation that has happened. So we're trying to figure it out. I have friends who are actually going to Oceanside. I figured it out, which is 30 minutes south of San Diego. Yeah, and it looks pretty. I kind of looked at it. So like we can figure something out.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out exactly what it is, because we have a freaking camper van and we're going to put it to use.
Oh, 100%.
So.
And make sure to go to my Instagram, because I just posted a reel of all the shit that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
I'm bringing so much film. I really want to bring a tripod. I'm starting to rethink.
Let's bring a tripod.
I think we should.
I love bringing a tripod. I brought a tripod to Mexico, and I was on that bitch.
Yeah. I think it would be, like, we have the room in the camper van.
We might as well use that.
I'm thinking maybe we could just, and we individually, if you wanted, could pack like a big checked bag, like a big bag, and just share it.
Individually? Oh, yeah, like
Share
together.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we can like throw the tripod in there and then pack just a shit ton of clothes to last us. But yeah, I'm super excited.
Me too. I'm really
Just
excited.
to be on the road, I plan on having everything I gotta like have done at the end of this week and just
Me too. I just want to chill.
enjoy.
I just want to enjoy.
I did one thing I would love to call out. I know this is your update.
I'm done.
Park MGM is probably so sick of me tagging them and shit, but we're staying at Park MGM. I mean, it's mine, but I think you like it too. I absolutely love that hotel in Vegas.
Yeah.
I go get a CBD restore massage every time I'm there. It is the best thing ever. Like
When are you doing your massage?
Friday?
Night?
No, Friday like early afternoon after you guys get in.
Before you check in?
No. Here's the thing.
Clearly we haven't talked about this at all.
We are not. Adam's gonna be listening to this irritated as fuck.
Clearly we're figuring it out.
He's
now.
all about the logistics.
I know you're on a 7 a.m. flight and you get
Yes.
in at 9.
And I always #platinum.
Get an
Always
early check in.
get in immediately when just because they have, I don't know, 18,000 rooms in that place. So I always get in. I put my shit down. I'll probably go have breakfast, drink, some gambling.
Okay.
I looked at your flight
Yeah, we get in at 11.
11, so I set my massage for like 2 or 3.
Oh, okay, that's literally perfect.
Because
That
I
way we
wanted to
can
make
meet
sure.
you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wanted to make sure that to meet and give you guys key cards, and then
Yeah, we can, because my plan then for anybody who cares about this stupid fucking competition that I'm doing that is going to make me literally poop my pants in public for the 4th time in my adult life.
4th.
It's probably been, I have IBS.
Oh, that's fair.
I have IBS and I'm lactose intolerant. Anytime I eat yum yum sauce at a freaking hibachi place, it is not good, okay? It is,
But it is also so
But it's-
good.
#worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to go see the facility and check in and do all of that stuff the day before. So
Gotcha.
anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into this business.
Let's
Enough
do
about
it.
me pooping my pants as an adult.
Let's see.
God.
I think we have the update first. I think it's
All right,
you.
let's get into the update. Here's the update on the photographer ghosting my sister-in-law's engagement session and not giving them their money back. For 2 months. Just this 2 months.
I think so. Maybe like 2 months later.
2 months. Okay, maybe she's saying 2 months, ! After going back and forth. So 2 months after going back and forth with the photographer on Honeybook with her refund issues, she sent back their money. Good, honey. We found out a little more of the background after talking to other brides who were victims of her scheme. She had been a reputable photographer for years who had great reviews. She was local to the area and other photographers recommended her, and we knew couples who used her for engagement photos, wedding, maternity sessions. 6 months
Shit.
6 months prior to when I first submitted, the photographer decided to go back to school for a career change, but to continue weddings on the weekends, kind of as a side hustle to support herself. I guess once the schooling actually started, she realized she bit off more than she could chew, and instead of communicating with her clients, she started scheduling backup photographers or just canceling because of a family emergency the morning of. She offered the deal where you pay up front for a discount to help increase revenue to fund her schooling. But then when she started no-showing and brides were requesting their money back, the money was already spent and she couldn't afford to refund everyone all at once. Hence the 2-month waiting period for their refund. She would refund one couple every 2 weeks. I'm assuming she was paid bi-weekly. The photographer has basically gone MIA since all of this. In the end, my sister-in-law found a different local photographer who's amazing and did their engagement pictures the very next week after the original scheduled shoot. Even the vendors who did her hair, makeup, etc. for the day, Even the vendors who did her hair, makeup, etc. for the day of their original shoot offered her free services for a rescheduled shoot due to the circumstances, which is really, really nice of the vendors who are
very
offering to
nice.
do stuff like that because they did not have to do that. All in all, this is an interesting, there's just,
Honestly, if you bring it down to facts, that photographer was almost using these couples as a loan
no,
program.
100%.
Like, hey, I need the money right now, but I'll pay it back to you incrementally
I
throughout.
think
Like,
this is a crazy story. If you know that you're getting into school, if you know that you're doing weddings or whatever on the side, quote unquote, kind of as supplemental income, it's still a job and it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
a huge responsibility and it still needs to be treated as somebody's most important day of their life. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still a really shady, shisty thing to do.
Agreed.
And just say that. Say that, hey, be honest, like be upfront. Hey, I'm actually back in school. I didn't realize that I would be less available than I am now. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Would you be okay with an associate photographer? If not, I can cancel our contract. Keep my deposit if that's in the contract.
Yeah.
Well, not if you're canceling
you're
it.
canceling,
yeah, not if
yeah.
she's canceling. No. Give the
Yeah.
money back and just cut your losses. Like maybe buy less Starbucks. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. I cannot imagine. Now, granted, it's hard, and I'm trying to put myself in that person's shoes
I don't know.
because I love what I do so much, and I couldn't imagine doing anything different.
Yeah.
Can you just hear that?
Yeah.
That's the sounds of the city. Just turn it into a jazz club in here. I just really want that to pass. Okay, give it a sec, you
This
guys.
too shall pass, guys. This too shall pass.
I know I could just keep I'll just keep speaking. But I just love what I do so much. So I couldn't imagine ever being in this situation as a photographer, but I'm trying to like empathize but also be like, bitch, get it together.
Yeah.
Like I do think a lot of people pick up a camera, and again, this was a very reputable photographer, allegedly. Obviously, this person was like, hey, no, we know that they've shot this, that, and the other. But I'm just like, this is such an important job to have. And I cried the other day, by the way, when I printed those photos and I was looking through them. I cried because I read that thing that said, like, look, man, and not to say this is facts, but if you don't print your photos, they're not getting passed down to anybody. They're
Yeah.
not like, you just give a USB drive to someone, like it's probably nothing's going to happen with it, or the technology mediums change. But my point of all of this is I'm looking through these photographs and I just felt so lucky that I knew how to use a fucking camera.
Yeah.
And that I could capture these moments, even if they're not of me, they're of my life and
For
what
sure.
I'm experiencing, and looking back on those. And it was so eye-opening and thinking like, that's what couples think when they see our photos. Like, they don't have to be the perfect photo. Like, yes, we like a couple perfect photos in the gallery, but like just the memories, that is so huge to have documented and to see back of your life. I could look at a picture of your Aunt Sally and be like, I mean, yeah, it's Aunt Sally. But you look at it and you see it with such
And
whatever.
you remember what Aunt Sally means
Yeah.
and
What she laughed like, maybe if
Yes.
she passed away.
Totally.
And so for these people out there, and there are some people who do this, who like pick up a camera and they just don't take it that seriously. It drives me up
Yeah.
the wall.
I will say, back to the story.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's okay. I really wanted to go into something else, but back to the story. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say what I wanted to say. I shot my wedding in Mexico, was almost 90% documentary. It
Yeah.
was the most incredible experience. And I'm looking back and thinking like, they're going to love these moments and these memories because it's just how the day unfolded and it's what they wanted. And I know those motherfuckers are going to print those pictures
Yeah.
because they're cool people who are going to print the pictures. Like, I just love what you're saying about just passing it on and keeping the memories alive. But back to the story.
Yeah.
When you get into a situation like going to school or something like that, you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be a surprise or a shock when you're trying to juggle and balance 80 million things. And I say this as somebody who juggles and balances 80 million different things. Like, I know what each thing entails, and I have to sit back and really evaluate what I do and do not have capacity for.
Yeah.
And when it comes to wedding season and even engagement sessions, maternity sessions, like these are things that are really important to people. So those are going to be higher on my priority list. That's what people need to consider. Like,
May have just heard my burp in that mic. Sorry.
oh, it's okay. At least it wasn't a butt burp.
That's what I'm calling that from now on. I just had a butt burp. But you are so true. Number one, Nikki juggles so many things that even as someone who people look at me and they go, why do you work so much? Like, why do you take on so many weddings, whatever? I look in turn at Nikki and I'm like, bitch, you crazy. I'm like, I could not be doing all of these different things.
That's a
I think
lot.
for me, it's easier because it's more singular.
Yeah,
I know
it's condensed into the
it's
thing.
like, okay, yes, I
Yeah.
shoot God knows too many weddings, but number one, I love all my couples so
For
much.
sure.
But it like there's a flow to it.
Yeah.
Versus like, okay, I'm at this studio today. Now I'm, doing this type of work today, this type of work. Like that would stress me the fuck out. So I'm always very impressed by you.
She's a little stressed, not gonna
Yeah.
lie. But at the end of the day, like I love doing that and doing all of the different, having all the different facets of photography that I can kind of dip my toe in, or even in the wedding industry, doing content creation. Like there's so many different areas. And so when we see people like this who are like dipping their toe in other ponds, going back to school, whatever it may be, that's a very normal thing for people to do. But are you doing it well? Are you doing it correctly? Are you doing it with dignity?
Yeah.
Because clearly this hoe was not, and she was essentially stealing, or like you said, using people as a loan, people who trusted her and put like all of their confidence within her. So
also, I would like to say, as someone who worked for a bank for 10 years, if you take out a loan, baby girl, there's interest.
Yeah.
And you're emotionally manipulating these people. You should be paying interest. I don't want just my money back. I want pain and suffering, emotional pain and suffering. I want more money on top of it.
So if you're listening to this and you're that photographer, cancel your business, shut it down.
Yeah.
Like just go focus on school, be a student, do whatever students do. Like don't be a photog.
Did you graduate from college?
God, no.
No.
Do I look like a college graduate? Are you kidding me?
No, I also didn't. So the reason I'm asking, it's so funny how this all comes together. I was trying to decide what to wear today because you know me, I'm just a dressy person. And I'm looking at my college sweatshirt.
Did you graduate from college?
Number one, you said that like I didn't. I take offense. Number two, I have not flunked, but I have pulled myself out of community college 3 separate times. Now, I want you to know, I feel I'm a smart person.
I'm a smart girl.
Now, book smart, I don't know about that.
I can't long divide.
No. I have a bride who's a mathematician, and I feel like she just keeled over and died.
I can't long divide. I
can't
lived
long
in
divide.
a third world country. They did math backwards, never learned it, never tried, hated it.
Yeah.
Very smart. I can speak publicly. I can do lots of things. Grammar, grammatically.
Given though the day and age we're currently living in, I would not admit that you lived in in a different country. Like someone might knock on the door. ICE will be here in any moment.
Come for me.
Come for me. She was born in Chicago, so
I was born in Chicago. Don't come for my grandpa though. I'll fight you. Actually, some days I do joke and I'm like,
just
no.
come
He's
grab him.
I love him so much, but I'm like,
He's
Papa
so
Rigo.
sweet. He's so sweet.
If he asks for another freaking cracker after he gets served soup, I know Z and I are going to. No, I'm just kidding. We're kidding. We love Papa.
He's the sweetest.
Sounds like I do elder abuse. I don't.
No, you really take care of that man.
Yeah, he's well taken care of.
He is the sweetest. Anyways,
Where were we? College.
oh yeah. So I was getting dressed and I saw my sweatshirt from college, and I say college because it's better than saying.
What are you saying? Community college?
It's better than saying MCTC, Minneapolis Community and Technical
When did you
College.
go to MCTC? What year?
Okay, graduated high school in 2011.
Were we in an MCTC class together?
How funny would that have been?
Because I took about 4 classes and I said, yeah, no, I'm going to be a waitress.
Like, this isn't worth it. Here's my thing. I was already working a full-time job at the bank.
Okay.
So I was working a full-time job, and then I was like, well, I should go to school. I did not go to school right out of high school. I got into some nice colleges. I got into like St. Kate's, and my parents
I didn't.
My parents looked at me and they were like, who's paying for that?
Yeah.
And there's no way that I could have tried to take out student loans, but it would have been a nightmare.
I'm so glad you didn't.
So glad. Even the student loans I took out for community college, I'm like, I'm not paying for them.
No, literally same. I don't even know what happened to that.
But I saw my sweater, my MCTC sweater, and I was like, I should wear that and pretend I went to like a nice school. But it was legit Minneapolis Community Technical College.
And no shade on anybody who's gone to a tech college or graduated from MCTC.
Because
Like,
I left 3 times. So if you graduated
Literally,
from MCTC,
we are not
kudos.
even worthy enough to have graduated from any college. So good for you. School is hard. That's what I'm saying. If you're a photographer, you know, leaving your couples to go to MCTC, just fucking quit
Just
being a
do it.
photographer.
Yeah.
Like, just quit.
Yeah.
Just quit.
my thing, and I talked to one of my brides about this because she's a mathematician. Like that's her job.
That sounds sick.
And I know I couldn't do it, but we were joking about, you know, just life. I was like, I
What
can't.
does a mathematician do?
Long division, apparently.
Clearly.
Allegedly. But I could start a paper the night before and get an A on that paper.
Right. Love
I am good at faking. Like
love
I
it.
can fake, or I can kind of like talk my way through anything.
Me
I
too.
feel like that's why I do fairly well in this. Like once I learned the photography piece of it, I knew how to talk to people. That's something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
You put me in a math class, I had to be in like the intro to math, like where they were like, you clearly have not learned any math in the 10 years you've been in high school. We need to teach you. You're not even getting college credit for this course, by the way.
Don't put a times table sheet in front of me and time me. I will poop.
Oh, to be
I
fair,
will sweat.
I can do a times table worksheet.
I'm getting anxiety thinking about it. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm getting really triggered.
Hold on. Let me say something though. I love a times table, but here's why. It's because I have it memorized.
I don't.
It's not even that I know what I'm doing. I just know.
I'm blacking out.
The only fast math I can do is because of slot machines.
9 times 9.
90.
72.
Oh, 9 times 9, 81. I think I said 9 times 10. Sorry. Oh my God. I can't believe we're going to put this out into the world. But
Math is useless anyway,
that's true. But
unless you're a mathematician.
again, if I'm at a slot machine, I know immediately. I'm like, oh, 10-cent machine, 5-cent machine, 25%.
That's how Craig uses math too. And
Adam
I
looks
will
at
look
me
at
like
him
I'm
and I'll
Rain
go,
Man.
what?
Yeah, you're like, what am I betting?
How much is this times? I don't know.
I love it.
But I'm fluent in Spanish, so everybody can suck my butt.
That's true. And I wish that I was fluent in another language.
Yeah. What about it?
I'm
Can't do
jealous.
math.
Okay. So I'm going to
I can
transition. I'm really proud of you. I don't know how much you can add, but
Not a lot.
you know.
TBH, don't test me on that.
So we're gonna do our little mid-show segment, like our social media segment. Now we already talked about the lady wiping the face off. We already talked about this reception photo thing, which our TikTok video, what is that at right now?
Let's check, everybody. If you don't follow us on TikTok already, please go follow us on TikTok. I gotta
I
pull
feel
up
like
our
that's where
ad.
more of our unhinged videos are gonna go.
TikTok is at 178.2 thousand views for our TikTok that we talked about that we're on the pod. Hella comments just popped up. Clearly, I haven't checked my TikTok or our TikTok, in a day. But yeah, please follow us on socials. Like, we're out here working for this.
Yeah. We
Doing
love
the Lord's
this.
work.
Doing the Lord's work. But mid-show segment, I saw this thing and I was like, ooh, that would be fun to read some. So if anyone's seen those videos that says, what's something a photographer did that made you never want to hire them again? So, and then people comment.
Yeah.
And the way that it's like your butthole is clenched while you're going through these, like hoping you don't see one of your clients pop up.
What did they do?
Oh, well, it's not even like the specific ones, and we'll go through some of them, but I was like scrolling like, oh my God, please don't let one of my couples be on here.
No,
like,
see,
I'm
that
so
stuff makes me
nervous.
throw up.
Here's my thing though. I see this as a learning opportunity.
100%.
And in my time of corporate America, let me say to the corporate America girlies, if you're listening, like if you're not a wedding vendor or if you're a wedding vendor and a corporate America girly, or boy, whatever. Shut up. Shut up. But feedback is a gift.
Yeah.
If you do not get feedback, you are not improving. I really don't like feedback. Adam and I, who is my fiance, by the way, used to work together many, many moons ago. And we were, at one point, he was in like a manager position and I was not. And then we were both in manager positions. And he had to give me feedback a few times. The way that I cry when I have to be given feedback, even if it's legit, I can't handle it.
It's hard to hear sometimes.
It's hard to hear, but it's important to make you better. So
I'm
anyways,
dying at these comments, and literally someone goes, me looking through the comments for my clients.
no, that's how it goes.
But the first one, do you see the first one? Told in her Instagram story or shared on her Instagram story on that day that my boyfriend is going to propose during the shoot, ruined the surprise proposal for me. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is diabolical. Didn't mention travel fees until the day of the photo shoot. Called me the wrong name throughout my engagements, bridals, and wedding day. Now, let me say one time, I have called a groom the wrong name. And Ange, if you're listening, you'll know that I called your husband the wrong name. So her husband's name is Brian. And I know this all because I can take a breath now and know what the hell I'm talking about. He looks eerily similar to my sister's boyfriend, who I've known for years, and his name's David. So I kept calling him David. And she kind of, my bride Ange was like, it's Brian. And I was so nervous at her calling it out that I then got the name wrong again because I was like, yeah, your name's David. I know. And she's like, Brian. Like, I was so, after that day, I was like, I'm simply going to pass away. I never can, whatever. Anyways.
These are really diabolical.
Oh, lost our entire wedding album before sending us anything and wouldn't refund anything. That is
diabolical.
Nuts. If you lose a couple main photos, like that's already a problem, let alone an entire wedding album. I know this sounds bad, but if you lose an entire wedding album, that money's got to go back. And I'm even saying deposit, which
100%.
Look,
if
I know
anything,
you did
I'd even
the work.
give more money back.
Oh, yeah.
I would give you more than what you paid.
Yeah, because that, I'm like, what are we gonna do? I once heard a very well-respected, like, Southern California photographer talk about that on a podcast they used to have and say, like, that happened to me once. The SD cards, whether they were, I don't even think they were corrupted. I think she lost them. Like, she was out in the fucking sand dunes or something and she lost them. And it was a wedding day and she had to just tell the client, like, I don't have them. There's no photos to be delivered, but I will do like reshoots. Not only will I refund you, but we'll go do bridals and stuff like that. And that's tough though, because the bridals are, it's nice to have some pretty pictures, but it's not the moments that you're wanting.
It's not the real day. Ruin the bridal exit by making the bride and groom stop walking halfway down the aisle to do it again entirely, ruining the first natural walk down. Like saying, okay, wait, stop, go back and do it again.
Yeah.
No.
Like, if you want to have someone do something again, let them finish the first time. Like, let them have that moment.
You know what to do, and proceeded to give me little to no direction, probably because I'm also a photographer, but like, I want direction. I actually don't know what to do.
Yeah. That's something I've thought about for my own wedding, of going, do I want direction or do I just want to be telling Adam, like, okay, now put your hand here. Okay, now do this. Like, I feel like it'll be hard for me not to, tell him what to do in that moment.
100%.
But I will also say that also comes down to people wanting like documentary and all of this different stuff. Like, what that means is you're not being prompted. So it's really important to actually know what you're asking for. I've heard of people hiring full documentary photographers whose work is stunning. And then they get their gallery back and they're disappointed. They're like, we don't really have any portraits. And it's like, yeah, that's what you hired.
That's why I said the wedding I did in Mexico was 90% documentary, because they still wanted some of those portraits. So like, we did maybe 5 photos of like the bridesmaids and groomsmen. She was like, I literally only want one group photo of the whole wedding party together. One. She didn't care a tiny bit. She's like, I'm never going to do anything with it. Couples portraits, we did maybe 30 minutes worth. Like, there was no, which I love her, Lauren, if you're listening to this, or Jacob, hey, loved just the laid back kind of easy flow, which, and if you're not like that, totally cool too. Like, I can rock with a portrait session back to back to back to back to back on your wedding day. It's whatever you want, but you're so right. You got to know what you're actually booking and hiring and looking for.
Yeah. And then if you do hire a photographer and you love all of their galleries, you have to trust them on the wedding day. like that they're doing what they need to do to get you a similar, didn't include taxes in the price and asked for them after the wedding.
That ain't right.
Sounds like someone needed some money.
Yeah.
And taxes on a, let's say, $5,000 to $10,000 package, depending, that's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane. Even I don't here's my package price, taxes included.
Yep.
Because I feel like that would be such a sticker shock to see the price and then see a 7.5%
Yep.
on top of that. That's a lot of money.
You have to know ahead of time.
You have to know ahead of time. Oh my gosh. I paid for a fresh 48. And I'm assuming that means like your baby is
It's in the
fresh.
hospital photos. So
Yeah.
it's typically photos that are done within 48 hours. Well, there are photos done within 48 hours of a baby being born, but typically they're done in the hospital.
Scary.
What's it say?
But beautiful. I paid for a fresh 48 and a newborn shoot, and she only showed up to the hospital, and she only showed up to the hospital, then ghosted me after. I never got the newborn shoot. Oh, that's shitty.
So she paid for a fresh 48 and a newborn shoot, but she only got the fresh 48, and the photographer basically stiffed her for the newborn shoot.
Yeah, that's annoying.
That's really mean.
DM'd my friend that came to my wedding with her boyfriend. That I don't quite understand, but this one I do in the same comment. Didn't capture my flower girl once, but I have 25 photos of my friend eating a s'more.
I'm sorry, that's horrible. What? Okay, I'm sorry, that's bad. This one says demonstrated in detail an extremely intimate pose on my new wife on my wedding day. Can you fucking imagine?
That's crazy. I already feel weird. There's one shot that I do that I demonstrate because, no offense, men, I love you. I don't understand what your problem is, though, because here's what happens is I go, okay, I want you to very gently put your, okay, this is
the groom?
This is the bride's head, okay? And here's her ear.
Okay, yeah.
And I go, I want you to just put like your thumb in front of her finger and like cradle her head so
And they'll go like
nicely.
this.
And they go, and I go, no, just thumb.
Please look,
So
please look.
I will, and I'm like, I want you to kind of put your fingers like underneath her hair, like hold on to her nice and tight. You're really gonna give her a beautiful like movie kiss. And yeah, sometimes I feel and I look at her and I'm like, I'm gonna touch you. Like I don't do that thing where I'm
gonna be all up
are
on
you
you.
okay? Are you okay, sensory? Like if I touch you, I'm like, no, just this is what I need you to do to your girl right now. Anyways, what was that last one? Oh, the 25 photos of your friend eating a s'more. That is, again, another example. And we talked about this on the last podcast episode. As a photographer, work smarter, not harder. Why are you including 25 photos of a friend eating a s'more? You're pissing someone off just because the number of photos is higher.
Taking 25 photos of somebody eating a s'more.
That's true. But just because the photo count is higher, if they are not good photos, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway,
okay, so that was the what's something a photographer did that never made you want to hire them again. I do also have another one that is enough of the negativity.
do we have time for this?
Oh, we have time for this. We're not on a limit.
I know, but are we going to post an hour and a half episode?
I mean, I think we can.
Okay.
But enough. Also, our episodes have only been 40 minutes thus far. We have time. Enough of the negativity. What's one thing your photographer did for you that you loved?
Oh, I love that.
And will never forget? Let's take a look.
Photographers are commenting, please put this on my client's FYP.
I know,
Not
right?
mine.
Gifted me a wedding album as a surprise. I now create these for all of my couples because it was such a sweet thing to have for my memories. Agree with that. We just talked about that. Like, you got to print your photos. And I know that people are like, it's just one more cost. Do it on Shutterfly. Like, if you can't afford to do it on like your photographer's, gallery site or on Artifact Uprising or something like that, like super, super professional, do it on Shutterfly, but also keep in mind that the quality of the prints and the colors, they're not going to be the same, but you got to print your photos, you guys.
I rolled my ankle walking down the aisle and she helped me out of my heels and into my slippers without making it a whole big thing. She was the best and made me feel so pretty and so important during my wedding, which like I love. I really want to say like, Wedding days for me, yes, I am there to work as a photographer, but I will do anything for you as my wedding client. I will literally do anything. When I was in Mexico, the bride's mom didn't love her hair.
Yeah.
You know who redid her hair for her on her wedding day? I did. I've had brides, this is like makes me emotional, but I've had brides who like their eyelashes are coming undone
Yeah.
after their makeup artists leave. Like I have re-glued on eyelashes and fluff dresses and put on shoes and like
Their Spanx are showing and
Yes,
it's like, oh, we're
like,
hoisting this dress back up.
there are just so many things, and that's why these wedding photographers not showing up really does piss me off because because we do care so much that it is these are things that go beyond just snapping a picture or two, and like these are things that go beyond just showing up for the day and taking a photograph. Like I will run and get you water, I will get you your plate for dinner if you want me to, I will do whatever you want. Like it doesn't matter to me. I just think it's so important to like care if this is your job.
Agreed.
And so these comments are keeping me feeling real special.
Yeah. Just to see that there are other photographers out there. Like a lot of us care so deeply about our job. I love this. Help me make my wedding timeline. I had no idea what I was doing and I called her for help a lot. I talked to nearly all of my couples and we build a timeline draft together.
Yep.
And here's how I do this, by the way. Like secret sauce tip item here is I send my couples a list and I say, look, even if they have a day of coordinator, that person doesn't normally kick in until about 30 days before the wedding day. We need a timeline in my opinion, 3 to 5 months before the wedding day because vendors are going to start to come to you. Hair and makeup is going to be like, hey, chick, what time? Yeah, what time do I need to be there? How many you got? What time do we need to be done? So I like to have that kind of going, but I send them a list of, hey, here's what some people like to do on their wedding day. I want you to check mark, what do you want to do? And I have estimated times for each of them so they kind of know how long they're going to take. Once they submit that back to me, I look at when is the ceremony? Like those are the ceremony time and the sunset are really the only times I need. And then I can start building in and then I will create kind of 2 different options and say like, here's kind of what I'm thinking. Do you like either of these? Let's sit down. Let's customize it based on what you're thinking. Because someone can be like, yeah, I want bridal party photos. But then during a conversation, they say, well, I actually only have 2 bridesmaids. I go, okay, well, we don't need 45 minutes then.
Yeah.
So just customizing that. But building out a timeline can actually be a lot more simple if you're a wedding photographer to help your couple. And also to be able to have a hand in it as a wedding photographer kind of makes your life a whole hell of a lot easier.
Oh, 100%. I always build out my timelines with my clients too. There's not a chance that I don't think necessarily fully rely on a timeline that I didn't have a hand in creating.
And it is hard though. Like I'm working more and more with planners who are like full plan and design, not just day of coordination. So they have a much bigger hand in the timeline as well, which I can appreciate. But if I have no hand in it and I get a timeline and it's like, yeah, you have 7 minutes for portraits. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I was like, now, and this couple's going to choke me, not choke the planner for giving me 7 minutes.
I just love all of the comments that I'm reading that are saying, helped me feel comfortable and made me feel really comfortable and beautiful, because I think that's really important too. Knowing how to communicate with, the people who are in front of your camera is so important. I have second shot for some people that I'm obviously not going to name names, but I have second shot for a couple of photographers where I'm like, I would feel so awkward and uncomfortable if this was my wedding day and I was in front of you. And these are very nice, sweet people, but like, I don't know, there's just an art to it and you got to be really good at it because it can be tough. But anyway,
I love that you talk about me when I'm right here.
Just hate you.
Hate you. You're bad at your job. Okay, we're going to roll into story number 2. You haven't read this, I don't think, so I'm so excited. Okay. Wedding florist here. I need to know, am I the asshole? I was reviewing my bookings from 2024 and getting ready to post on Instagram. I know, I should have done this all year long, but busy season just gets insane. Anyways, I was looking through galleries I received from photographers, and I get that art is subjective, but I just feel like a lot of this is unusable for me. I know the couples picked a specific photographer based on style, or at least I hope they did love that person's style and it wasn't only because the price was right. But some of these editing styles just make my arrangements look like shit. It's to the point where I won't even use the photographs because I don't feel like it was a good representation of what I actually produced. This is not to put any style, or this is not to put down any style. If it's a super warm edit, the colors just don't look like they did in real life. I need to know if I'm the asshole wanting to work with my 2025 couples to not only ask who their photographer is, but if it's someone I know that it's going to be an editing style I don't vibe with, ask their permission to bring my own photographer for maybe an hour or so just for some detail shots. Since you two are not only planning weddings, but also photographers as a job, I'd really love your perspective on this. Would I be the worst person in the world, or is this reasonable? Thanks. Love you in the pod so
I
much.
think this is reasonable. I think you are not the asshole. And maybe that's a hot take, but I don't think this person is the asshole whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is their livelihood. This is their job. This is how they make money. And if they're not giving couples a fair representation of what their work actually looks like and what their couples should expect their work to look like, then they're just, it's not going to be a thing. And also, like, telling your couples, hey, you know, based on your photographer, how they take photos, your florals might look different. Totally fair. I would think you'd be an asshole if you didn't tell somebody that. I think you'd be an asshole if you just said, yes, all my work looks like X, Y, and Z. Ask the photographer or whoever if you can bring in a photographer for the first hour. I wouldn't give a shit. I know that my work and your work is more true to color for this reason. Really, like, one of the main reasons is because I want my work to be representative of what the day actually looks like and represents. And I don't want it to feel like you're looking back 20 years down the road and thinking that you had brown flowers when it was actually a white rose.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this person is the asshole at all whatsoever.
Agreed. I could not agree more. And it's hard because my first year, actually, my first wedding, full wedding, I actually had this exact situation. I don't think it was because my editing style, but I think the florist just wanted like behind the scenes photos and stuff like that, which I can appreciate. So they had reached out to my bride and said, like, do you mind if we do this, whatever? And my bride asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. Just like, as long as the photographer's not there when we start taking portraits, like they can't just like tag along and be taking portraits. But if they want to get detailed photos for the florist and the setting up and kind of like branding stuff for the florist. But when I did my floral consultations for my own wedding a week or two ago, I was asked by the florist, who's your photographer?
Me.
Because
you go, it's actually me, myself.
Yeah, and I was like, I'll be editing. But they were like, okay, we'd like to know, because then, and this is how you know you got a good florist, because if you are a warmer edit or something like that, they will recommend different blooms to make sure that that things are looking the way that you want them to. And I thought that was huge. But no, as the florist, I don't think you're the asshole.
I don't think so either. And if anybody tells you otherwise, if you have a photographer coming to you and telling you that you are the asshole in this situation, maybe don't work with that photographer.
Yeah. And it is hard. I get that turning down work or knowing like, okay, if I do pick up this wedding, I'm not going to have anything to show for it. That is hard. And I talk to planners about that too, that I feel for them as photographers. I'm in full control over, even if I go to a wedding and maybe, you know, their budget wasn't 20 grand for floral, like it was a beautiful wedding. It was more simplistic. I still am in a lot of control over what these photographs look like. But if you're a planner or a florist, you have control over like one very specific thing. I mean, planner is widespread, but in terms of the final product, you are hoping that the photographer gives you photos that you can use. And to me, that is such a stressful position to be in. And yeah, I was asked once to come to a styled shoot because the photographer who was putting it on, the vendors were like, hey, we really love the concept and idea for the shoot, but we don't think we're going to use this other photographer's photos. Okay. Like, can we please have someone else come through as well that edits a little bit more true to color? And that doesn't mean that that's the right way to do it. Yeah. It's just sometimes what people vibe with more because it's a more realistic view of their art that they put out, like the florals. And if that's just what they lean to personally in their own style, that editing style, then they're hoping to have that to showcase their work. And it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that's hard because you're never meant to hurt anyone's feelings.
Right.
But this is a business after all. And honestly, if I
not
could,
personal.
it's not. And if I could delete Instagram and still have a successful business, I would. But I
Yeah.
can't. I need Instagram. I need to post my work. Like, it is what it is. That's just kind of like, that's how the cookie crumbles,
Yeah.
as Jim Carrey would say.
And I think like styles also change over the years. So if you are a photographer, like I know my style of editing now is so significantly different than when I first started, or even from like a year or two years ago. Like things change over time. And I feel like now I found a consistency that I really vibe with and flow with. But, you know, it's not to say, like you said, one is bad or not. And I think even in here, it says like, it's very subjective. Art is very subjective.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to ask what works for you. And like you said, this is a business, baby. You got to make your money. And if you don't think you're going to be gaining clients or making money off of what somebody is giving you, even though you spent a lot of time, work, and effort putting in, you know, a floral installation, you got to do what's going to benefit you in the long run, what's going to put food on your table, even if it hurts somebody else's feelings. It's not meant to. I got a fucking family to feed. My dog needs his food. Okay.
Yeah, agreed. And one thing
Baxter's
I'll say,
hungry.
as the photographer, like the wedding photographer, let's say if someone else is coming through to shoot details of the florals, I do think it's totally okay for you to say, hey, that's fine. Please ensure that
Yes.
like you're not sticking around for portraits. The
Yes.
photographer shouldn't be like posting a bunch of photos, like acting as if this is a wedding that they shot.
Like there
It
should
is-
be a contract in
Yeah.
place to state all of those things.
And just to say like, hey, yes, those photos are for the florist to use for marketing purposes.
Right.
That's totally fine. 'Tis what it is. Yeah,
But
that's
I
that on
like that submission. I think that was a great submission for this pod because it is a question that I'm sure a lot of people have wondered about or been curious about. And I've maybe asked a friend or two, like, hey, what do you think about this? But I think in a broad spectrum, like, I don't think we're the hot take. I don't think we're the odd man out. And like I said, if somebody's guilting you or shaming you or making you feel that way, then they're probably not the best people to work with.
Yeah. You may not align from like a business value.
Yeah. And I think at
standpoint.
first when I started in the industry, like I might have thought that was weird as the photographer
Yeah.
myself.
Like, get out of my wedding.
Literally, that's my, but you grow in this business and you learn what is appropriate or what the practices are. And you kind of just, you learn what happens, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Yeah.
And you really roll with the punches and everything is a learning experience.
Agreed. I think you kind of, like you said, you learn to roll with the punches and just go like, this is life. We're all here to make the couple's day the best day possible. Like, as long as I can do my job and you're not in my way, you're not being an asshole to me,
Yeah.
like, good on ya. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining this early ass episode of Cocktail Hour. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you can. Remember, or reminder, we're on Apple, YouTube, Spotify.
And also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast and submit all of your stories or questions to the link in our bio. Everything is anonymous. And I also want to shout out our TikTok really quickly because we would really love it if you guys would follow us. If you didn't delete the TikTok app like Meg did, it's at Cocktail Hour Podcast, no dots. And you can find our YouTube link in the bio as well.
And you know we're supportive girlies. So anything we really chatted about today, if there's a link for it, we gonna link it in the show notes. So make sure to go support those small businesses, or I mean, let's be honest, large businesses. It's the economy after all. Give love to those companies. Other than that, bye.
Bye.